So this week's video is on the best beginner longboards, or rather how to pick a longboard if you're a beginner. And the way we're going to approach this is I'm going to talk about the different longboard disciplines, and then I'm going to talk about the features that make a longboard easy to ride. The best way to pick a longboard if you're a beginner is to figure out the type of skating you want to do first, and then pick a longboard within that that's easy to ride. Now I know a lot of people are going to say that there's no such thing as a beginner longboard, but some longboards are easier to ride than others, and some are more beginner friendly. So I would say that some longboards are beginner longboards or whatever. Now I do know that this video is going to be quite long, so just skip to the type of skating that interests you and watch that bit and learn what you need to help you guide your product buying choices. There are some affiliate links throughout the video. Those affiliate links just allow me to keep making videos like this and keep providing content, and they allow me to make some commission without really affecting you. Another thing is, don't trust the hype from companies and the marketing, because they're going to market different boards as, oh, this is the best board ever, or this is the greatest board, or whatever. Just don't trust that. Do your own research, find a second opinion, and you'll be able to get a product that satisfies your needs. Finally, if you're not sure about what board you want to pick at the end of this video still, or would like to try out some boards before making a product purchase, feel free to reach out to your local community. Great places to find your local longboarding groups are Facebook and Reddit. And yeah, man, people are very welcoming and more than willing to let you skate the boards and try out different sorts of things. So first thing we're going to be looking at is the types of longboard disciplines and the types of boards. So the first stuff we're talking about is mini cruisers or minis. So what is a mini cruiser or a mini? Mini cruisers are really boards designed with portability and compactness in mind. They're really defined by what they do when you're not skating them than what they actually do when you are skating them. So for example, the dinghy is an excellent example of a mini. What do they look like, and what are sort of the dimensions and specifications? So minis are more often than not less than 30 inches in length, less than about 8.5 inches in width. They usually have traditional kingpin trucks, and they come with wheels between 59 millimeters to 65 millimeters in size. So what are minis used for? Minis are best used for quick, short rides. If you need to get from point A to point B quickly, a mini is a good option, given that point A to B isn't a very long distance. They're excellent for that sort of last mile sort of ride when you get off a bus, to get to your work or wherever your destination is. They're also very great for that because they're easy to store and carry around, and they're very discreet. So let's say when you're in the bus and you have to hold on to your board, it's not really going to get in your way. Or if you're down at the store and you have to hold both your board and shopping, whatever, not really going to get in your way. Or if you have to get to your next class, but then you also have to keep your board on you. These things fit very easily under most desks or within your locker. So they're great portable boards. Also great for kids, because kids are usually small. They have a hard time handling bigger boards, but because mini cruisers are basically mini longboards, right? Kids can handle them easier and usually have an easier time riding them and learning on them. Finally, these are just really fun boards for messing around with. You can ollie some of them, you can slide some of them. They're just really fun to mess around with. Right, so what are minis not good for? So after, let's say, about 5 to 10 minutes of skating, minis really start not to feel that good. They really excel within that first 5-10 minutes. They're really fun, but then after that, you start to get exhausted skating them, and here's why. So number one, the wheels on most minis are quite small, and this means that they don't hold on to momentum and they don't coast for as long, so you have to push in order to keep the speed up. And because they're also small, they tend to reflect a lot of road vibration and don't handle different road surfaces as well as bigger wheels do. They do it better than skateboard wheels. Skateboard wheels tend to be smaller and harder, but they don't do it as well as bigger wheels. And then because they're really nimble and quick to react to your input, you actually have to actively work to keep them going in a straight line, and that can really get exhausting, and you can feel your legs sort of getting fatigued from all that. Finally, because you have a small platform, you don't really have too much space, so you can't really stand on them comfortably for long periods of time. They're also not going to be the best for tricks. The platform is quite small, and you'd really be better off with a proper popsicle board if you want something to learn tricks on. Okay, next, who should buy a mini cruiser? Or you should buy a mini cruiser if you want something easy to store, something portable and that's discreet when you have to carry it. You should buy a mini cruiser if you want something that's fun and really nimble for those sort of quick rides down to the store or wherever you need to go. I'd say less than 3 kilometers. And you should buy a mini cruiser if you want something to mess around with when you have, you know, a little bit of time to skateboard. And you should buy a mini cruiser if you want something that's gonna get you over a short distance quickly. Right, don't get a mini cruiser if you plan on skating distances longer than, let's say, 3 kilometers or for longer than 10 minutes. Don't get a mini cruiser if you want something that is comfortable and easy to skate. Don't get a mini cruiser if you plan on bombing hills. And you know, that really begs the question, right? Are mini cruisers easy to learn on? And not really. The small size and nimble nature makes them hard to learn on. They're very reactive to a rider's input, and this is not very good for someone who's getting to grips with balancing on a board and really sort of learning a whole new skill. You can't learn on them, but there is a steeper learning curve, and the better boards that are more friendly for learning. But I will say that they are pretty excellent options for kids. If you have a kid who wants to learn skateboard, I would recommend a mini cruiser. Right, so what's a fair price for a mini? So for most low quality boards are going to be between $50 to $80. An example of a low quality board is going to be the Magneto Mini Cruiser. The board itself is pretty okay, but the components, the trucks and the wheels, are going to be low quality on that board. The trucks are knockoff Chinese copies of Paris trucks. They're just not going to lean smoothly. They're not going to have a very consistent turn, and they're not going to be very forgiving to ride. They're going to twitch, and they're just not going to feel good. So whilst the deck itself is quite good, the components really hold that complete back, which is why it only goes for about, I think, about $70 on Amazon, which is quite cheap. If you really want a high quality or a decent quality budget mini cruiser or mini, I'd recommend going for the Stoked Blank Cruiser, which is essentially just a blank skateboard that has high quality components put together by Stoked Ride Shop. It only goes for $90, and it comes with high quality Paris trucks and high quality Fireball Tinder wheels, high quality bearings as well. The next sort of price range is about $100 to $150. Here you're getting fairly decent and fairly high quality completes. For example, for about $110, you'll be able to buy the Fireball Cruiser, which is a really high quality cruiser that I've reviewed previously on my channel. It's a great board, comes with high quality components, is made really well, is comfortable to skate, and rolls really well as well. On the other end of the spectrum, for about $150, you can buy the Landyachtz dinghy. It is a high quality board, has high quality components. It is a bit expensive, but that's what you get when you pay for product from a high quality brand, basically. It's a very nimble board, and I'd really recommend it to kids. Very nimble and really fun to ride. And for higher quality boards, you're looking to pay over $180. And yeah, links to these products in the bio. So next up, we're going to be talking about cruisers. So what is cruising? Cruising is just really just vibing when you're out skating. You know, you don't really have a destination or a goal. Just really doing it to sort of enjoy the feeling of skating and enjoy the feeling of your longboard. And you can really cruise on any board, but some are going to be better for it. I personally believe that a board that allows you to have a low effort, low stress skate experience is going to be excellent for cruising. And yeah, anything that makes skating feel easy, effortless, and as natural as possible is really going to be the move for you to maximize the vibe and, you know, just really enjoy yourself. Right, so what type of boards are used for cruising? Most boards that are used for cruising are going to be about 35 inches long with widths around 9 inches. They're going to have big wheels between 65 millimeters all the way to 75 millimeters in height or diameter. And these wheels are going to be pretty great for cruising. They're going to roll for longer, coast for longer. You know, you're not going to have to keep pushing to keep the speed up, and they're going to provide a smoother ride. Most cruisers are going to come with various mounting options. So for example, this is a drop-through cruiser. You can also get a cruiser that's top-mounted or a cruiser that's drop-mount. And finally, a lot of them are going to be flexible. They're going to have flexible decks, and this flexibility just adds a little bit of comfort to the ride. You know, it acts like suspension, and it's pretty good. What are cruisers not good for? Most cruisers are not going to be very good for doing tricks or learning tricks. Most cruisers are going to feel a little bit sluggish. Because the boards are longer and usually wider, they're not that quick to turn and respond to your input. On the flip side, that does make them really excellent for learning on, very beginner friendly, but they're not going to be super maneuverable. Finally, that most of them are not going to be good for learning to slide, and then most of them are not going to be good for downhill. They're going to be too maneuverable, and if your body is too maneuverable at high speeds, that really translates into wobbles because it's very turny. And they're also going to be quite flexible, and flexibility really isn't good if you want to do downhill skating. It limits how much control you have over your trucks. What's a fair price for a cruiser? So for a low quality cruiser, you're looking to pay under $100. You're not going to get anything of decent quality for under $100. If you have to spend less than $100, I recommend you either try get a quality board secondhand. You can get great deals for boards if you know what you're looking for. Or if you really have to buy something brand new, I recommend the Solar Bamboo Cruiser, link in the description. This is a drop-down cruiser that you can get on Amazon.com. The deck itself is okay, the quality isn't that great, but it should hold up to most abuse. There have been instances of this board breaking, but it shouldn't happen for most people. The components are pretty cheap, are pretty bad. They're not going to provide the best ride, but for about $70, that's what you get. And I think that's really one of the best cheap longboards that I've seen on Amazon. Next price range is going to be for decent to low quality boards, and you might be paying between $100 to $150. A good example of a decent / low quality board is going to be the Magneto Cruiser. The deck on this cruiser is fairly decent, but the components really hold it back. The components are low quality and they're not going to give you a very nice ride. They're not going to turn smoothly. The wheels aren't going to roll very fast. It's just not the best sort of riding experience. And then the next sort of price range is going to be for decent to high quality boards. You're looking to pay between $150 to $220, and you're going to be able to buy a board like this in that price range. For $190, you can pick up the Landyachtz Dropcat from Stoke Ride Shop, link in the description. I also have reviewed this board if you want to check out in-depth review of how it performs. But yeah, this board is just really great. It's low to the ground, easy to push. It has high rebound wheels that keep the speed. You're not constantly pushing to try to keep this board moving. It comes with high quality components, great wheels, great trucks, great bushings. That's what you can expect from this sort of price range, and it's just really going to be a board that if you choose to go with, that you're going to enjoy riding. Now the next sort of price range is going to be about $250. This is what you expect to pay for a very high quality board, and the example this time is going to be the Comet Cruiser. The Comet Cruiser is essentially the Rolls Royce of longboards. It has high quality components and every part has been switched out or tuned to just sort of give you the best performance possible. For example, the bushings have been switched out for aftermarket bushings just so that you're getting perfect sort of ride, and a lot of experienced people have been saying that this is the best longboard that a lot of them have ridden, and that's really saying something. That's a lot of high praise, but you do pay quite a bit for this product. You can use the code downhill254 at the checkout for a 5% discount. And yeah, I recommend you look into this board if you're looking for something that you're gonna ride for a lifetime and really enjoy riding. You should buy a cruiser if you're looking for a board to, just really catch a vibe on and enjoy the feel of skating. If you want to skate slightly longer distances, a cruiser is going to be a bit more appropriate for that, let's say a bit longer than 5 kilometers. If you're looking for something all-terrain that will handle sort of different road surfaces across the city, and handle cracks and pebbles and that sort of thing better, the bigger wheels on a cruiser make it appropriate for that sort of skating. You shouldn't buy a cruiser if you want something to bomb hills on and skate fast with. You shouldn't buy a cruiser if you want something that's super nimble, that's going to allow you to weave in and out of obstacles fairly quickly. So the Comet Cruiser is excellent for that too. You shouldn't buy a cruiser if portability and storage is key for you, and you shouldn't buy a cruiser if you want something to learn to do tricks with. They're usually quite heavy. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is dance and freestyle. So what is longboard dancing and freestyle? Longboard dancing is essentially doing fancy footwork on your longboard and just being really elegant and chic and all that kind of stuff. Freestyle longboarding is when you do a maneuver or a trick that causes your wheels to leave the ground. That's essentially what freestyle is. Now these are two very similar styles of skating, but they're quite distinct. The biggest difference is with the tricks you do and the type of board that you're going to ride. These boards both have twin kicktail boards that are flexible. For dance, most boards are going to be about 46 inches long. They're going to be longer, so you have more room to sort of do all the footwork and all the steps that you want to do. For freestyle, most boards are going to be about 40 inches long. The shorter 40 inch is going to make the board more appropriate for flips and stuff and doing all sorts of technical stuff. For a hybrid, you can pick between those two lengths. Don't feel limited by that sort of description. You can really use either for freestyle or either for dance, but 46 is going to be better suited for dancing and 40 inches better suited for freestyle. What are dance boards not good for? Dance and freestyle boards are very long. This makes them really slow to turn, so they're not very maneuverable. They're also not very portable because of their sheer size. A 46-inch longboard is quite long, so they're not going to be very easy to carry around and very easy to store. They're not good at downhill because they're flexible and not stable, essentially. So what's a fair price for a dance and freestyle board? Because this is a technical side of longboarding where you need your gear to perform in order for you to do what you need to do and progress, you're going to want to pay up for a decent quality board. If you cheap out, if you choose to go with a really cheap model, then you're really going to limit how fast you can learn and the sort of riding you can do. It's really only going to hold you back by going with a cheap longboard. Most low quality boards are going to be under $200. A low quality board that's actually kind of decent, almost, it just has really bad components, again, is going to be the Magneto Dancer. If you must absolutely buy a cheap longboard dancer, this is going to be your best option under $200. The deck itself is fine, it's just the components that are pretty bad, and if you want to get something decent, then I recommend you replace the components with quality trucks like Paris trucks or Caliber trucks or whatever. But if you do replace the components, you're going to end up spending over $200, and at that point you might as well get a decent to high quality longboard. So between $200 to $300, you're going to get decent / high quality models, and your best beginner dancing longboards really fit into this sort of range. I'd say the Rayne Nae Nae, which you can get for about $200, is going to be one of the best beginner longboards if you're on a budget, followed closely by the Landyachtz Stratus, which you can get for I think about $230, and then followed by the Zenit Judo, which is a bit more expensive at $280. And all those boards as completes come with high quality components, and they're really just going to allow you to learn and have a really positive experience as you get into longboard dancing and freestyle as well. And then for high quality boards, you're looking to pay over $300 all the way up to $500 even. Like, you can get ridiculously expensive, with models like the loaded Tarab costing over $450. It's pretty insane. I think that's overkill for someone getting into the sport. But yeah, a good budget beginner dance longboard is going to be about $200. Cheapest you're looking at is the Rayne Nae Nae, and I highly recommend you get something of decent quality. Who should get a dance and freestyle board? If dancing and freestyle is the main type of riding you want to do, absolutely go for a dance and freestyle board. Don't get another sort of hybrid model, with dancing in mind or whatever. Just get the type of board focused to the riding style you want. Is going to make you happy. Who shouldn't get a dance board? If you want to do downhill, a dance board isn't going to be good for you. If you want to do sort of slides, a dance board isn't going to be your best bet. If you want something very portable, a dance board isn't going to be your best bet. Alright, so next thing I'm going to be talking about is downhill and freeride. So what is downhill and freeride? Downhill skateboarding is basically skating above sort of 30 miles per hour, skating at a high speed, and using sliding, foot braking, and air braking to manage your speed, taking corners at a substantial speed, and that sort of skating. What does a downhill longboard typically look like? Most downhill longboards are about 35 inches in length. They usually have a width of about 9 to 9.5 inches. They're speed stiff, which means that the decks are very stiff. They're not flexible at all. And what this does, it just really gives you control over your truck and just ensures that you're in control over what your trucks are doing the entire time. They usually have big wheels between 70 to 80 millimeters in height. They usually have coarse grip tape, and they usually come with reverse kingpin trucks with an angle of about 45 degrees. And these generally give you the best control at speed, best stability at speed, and just allow you to skate fast without really worries of getting speed wobbles. What are downhill longboards not good for? Because they're very stiff, they tend to reflect a lot of road vibration. So if you skate over rough ground, the board doesn't really work to absorb some of the vibration from the road. It just reflects it back into your feet, and that can really get uncomfortable. On average, they're not very nimble and maneuverable at slow speed. Because they're designed to skate quite fast, they're not going to be very nice for weaving between obstacles at slower speeds. They're not going to be good for things like dancing. Coarse grip tape really sticks to your feet and doesn't want you to shift your feet at all, so it's not really going to be easy to do things like pirouettes and that sort of stuff. And often a lot of them don't have kicktails, so you're really limited with what you can do. So what is a decent price for a downhill skateboard? Like with longboard dancing, downhill skateboarding is going to be a bit more technical. You're going to be relying on your equipment a lot, and you want something of decent quality to give you a positive learning experience and that you can rely on at high speeds. Cheap components, like let's say for example cheap trucks, these are not cheap, these are good trucks. Cheap trucks are going to have a lot of play, and this just really allows the trucks to do whatever they want to do regardless of your input. And this leads to wobbles at higher speeds, or when you're trying to slide, they don't feel very good and they make your wheels chatter. It's just not very good. So you're going to really want to invest in a decent quality board. If your budget is quite tight, you can look into secondhand platforms and try search for a decent quality board for secondhand. You can get some stuff for a very reasonable price secondhand. I recommend looking on longboarding on Reddit, or looking at Facebook groups, looking at your local Facebook longboard groups, and even asking for help. People will be able to guide you. Right, so to actually answer the question, what is a fair price for downhill skateboard? Anything under $180 is typically going to be low quality. Nothing complete under $180 is really worth it. It's probably going to have very cheap components or very poorly made deck with low quality wheels and that kind of stuff. There's nothing good. There's no complete under $180 that's probably going to be okay for downhill skating. Between, let's say, $200 to $300 is when you're going to be getting decent quality complete. For example, a decent quality complete, though it has no trucks at the moment, is going to be the Landyachtz Cheesegrater. For about $200 and something, you can get this complete. It's going to come with a great deck, high quality components with great wheels, and you're going to be able to learn, and you're going to be able to rely on your skateboard to keep you safe when you're going fast and not wobble and crash out on you. Another example of a great quality complete within this sort of price range is going to be the Pantheon Gaia. Another good example is going to be the Zenit Marble, Sp8boards Bullet / Sparrow if you're in the UK or the EU. If you're in the US right now, one of the most affordable models that you can get for $200 flat is the Earthwing Hoopty from Skate. I recommend you go to the website and check it out. So for high quality downhill longboard, you're looking to pay over $300, and yeah. So you should buy a downhill longboard if you want to skate over 25 miles per hour regularly. If you want something for learning to slide, you can learn to slide with pretty much almost any longboard, but downhill skateboards are going to be the best suited for it. I mean, they're designed for it. And finally, if you want to skate downhills, a downhill skateboard is going to be perfect for it. You should avoid buying a downhill longboard if you want something flexible that provide a bouncy, comfortable ride. If you want something nimble to weave in and out of obstacles and such, most of these are designed to be stable at speed, so they usually have slightly stiffer bushings. They're not going to be very nimble. Finally, if you're looking for something comfortable that will absorb a lot of road vibration, it's not going to be your best bet. If you want something to learn to dance with, a downhill skateboard isn't going to be a good choice. What is commuting? This is a bit of a niche sort of discipline or sort of side of longboarding, but I know a lot of people are looking for information on it, so I thought it would be useful to do a little bit on it as well. So commuting is basically skating the entire distance with your longboard, and you're typically going to be skating over sort of 5 miles or over 7 kilometers or something about that much. You might be doing that twice in a day or one way and then whatever. What type of boards are suited to commuting? Most boards built for commuting and skating a considerable distance are going to be low to the ground. They're either going to be drop through or drop mounted or made with a bracket. And this is just so that they can make pushing and foot braking and all that good stuff a lot easier and a lot less of an effort. They're also flexible to provide a comfortable ride, and so that they absorb a lot of road vibration. And they typically come with really big wheels, usually over 80 millimeters in size, 80, 85 millimeters, sometimes even 90. So what are commuters not good for? Commuters are not going to be good for downhill tricks or dancing. They are going to be excellent for cruising though, because they're going to be really easy to ride. Right, so what's a good price for a commuter longboard? I'm not really sure, to be honest, but I think most commuter longboards run over $200, I think. Most decent quality ones, at least. What comes to mind is the Zenit AB Maze, the Pantheon Ember, the Pantheon Quest, and the Bustin Sportster. Those boards are going to be excellent for commuting, and you can really rely on any of them. Don't buy a commuter longboard if you want something to do tricks with. You should buy a commuter longboard if you're going to be skating a considerable distance. Buy a commuter longboard if you want something easy to skate with for longer periods. Okay, so next we're going to be talking about what features make a longboard easy to ride, or what features make a longboard beginner friendly. So first we're going to be talking about a low standing platform. A low standing platform is basically going to make it very easy for you to push and for you to foot brake. Because the standing platform is lower and closer to the ground, you don't need to reach as far in order to push or in order to foot brake. And this just really makes the longboard a lot easier to ride. This lower standing platform also adds to stability and makes a longboard a little bit more stable and basically more forgiving to ride as well. It also makes a longboard really easy to ride for a kid because they have shorter legs. They have a considerably longer distance, relatively speaking, for them to reach the ground to push. But yeah, a low standing platform can be achieved in various ways. So for example, the Landyachtz Dropcat has a low standing platform. This is because of two reasons, right? Number one is the mounting option. It's a drop through, which means that the base plate is mounted on top of the board and the trucks are attached underneath, and it has rocker as well, which leaves us with about 1.5 inches or more off the ground, and just really makes the board really easy to push, really easy to foot brake, and really easy to skate. The next thing that makes a board very easy to skate is a wide enough standing platform. Wide/long enough standing platform, right? If a platform is really short, it's just going to feel awkward and you're not going to be able to relax, and all your inputs into the board are going to be exaggerated, and it's just not going to be super comfortable. But when a board is longer and you have a longer standing platform, you're going to be able to stand on it more naturally. You're going to be able to assume a natural shoulder width stance, and you're going to be able to have more precise inputs over the longboard and sort of make it do what you want it to do comfortably. And a wider board is also just really going to allow you to feel more comfortable. Narrower boards make you feel like you're standing on a tightrope, and that generally isn't very comfortable and can get quite exhausting if you have to stand on a narrow board for a considerable distance. Right, so another thing that makes a board really easy to ride or more beginner friendly is high quality components. Good quality components give you a positive riding experience. Cheap components just don't feel good. Cheap components, in terms of components, I mean the trucks, the wheels, the bearings, the bushings, the pivots. Cheap components mean a board that's going to roll slowly, that's going to turn not that well, that's going to twitch, that's not going to be stable at speed. It's going to be hard to balance on. It's going to give you wobbles as well, and just really an overall negative experience. You'll be able to learn faster and be a lot more comfortable on a board that has high quality components. And yeah, why should you not buy a cheap longboard? So most cheap longboards have been made poorly. The decks are made really poorly, several pressed at a time in the mold, and this really leads to an inconsistent shape because not all the boards are getting the amount of pressure that they need in order to sort of be made properly, and that could lead to delamination even down the line. And delamination is when the plies of the longboard start to come apart. Finally, in order to cut cost, most of the wood plies that are used on these cheaper decks are not very high quality. They're of lower quality, so you can't really be sure of the strength of these plies, and a lot of these cheap boards are known to snap as well, right? So the components of these boards are also the components of these boards are also consistently bad. Like I've said, cheap components. The wheels are going to be gummy and not roll very fast. The components, the bushings are going to be pretty poor and not ride very smoothly. You can tell I'm getting tired of talking, and yeah, pretty bad. But a cheap longboard might be okay if you can't afford any better. If you can't afford any better, then go ahead and buy what you can afford. If you can get secondhand, even better. But it's really up to you. And finally, a good beginner-friendly longboard is going to be right for the type of riding that you want to do. So don't get a board designed as a mini cruiser for skating downhill. Don't get a dinghy, to go bomb hills, or don't get a dinghy that's designed, to be nimble and fun to learn to slide on, and stuff like that. Get the board built for the riding that you want to do. Yes, some boards can do 2 or more types of riding, but you're going to be better off with the board that's best for the riding you have in mind. And finally, have realistic expectations for what you pay. Very much get what you pay for. So if you choose to buy a cheap longboard, then expect to not have a very good riding experience. And that's really the end of the video. I thank you if you've watched all of it, but yeah, feel free to leave a comment. If you don't agree with the things I've said, feel free to leave a comment as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Big thanks to all my patrons for all the support. I'm able to keep making videos because of the support from you guys. And yeah, man, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, share it with your friends, subscribe, leave a like, all that good stuff. And I really hope someone out there has been helped and has been steered in the right direction to pick a longboard that's going to make them happy. So yeah.